Danite Radio. Welcome to the Counter-Revolution.
I'll just fix it in post, guys.
We'll just fix it in post, guys. We're going, by the way. I want people to hear us talking about that.
Good deal.
We're so gauche. We'll fix it in post, guys.
Jay. Dope.
Welcome back.
Danite Radio.
We're here.
Yeah, for sure. Here to talk about our namesake a little bit.
'Tis the subject matter today.
The subject matter.
We're trying a new setup, and we're hoping that it helps with our audio quality.
Yeah.
So if you notice anything with our audio quality that you don't like, comment, and then like and subscribe.
Mock us, please. Whatever it takes to get you to like and subscribe. You can just come and make fun of us sometimes.
I'm not going to lie, I don't love it. It feels a lot less personal.
Really?
You know? Yeah, to me.
We're sitting around our parents' pool table. I'll include a picture in the
Yeah, we're a lot further apart than I'm used
thing.
to.
Oh yeah, sure.
Normally we're pretty tight, pretty close quarters. But, you know, it's not the worst. Well, Rocky, how was your week?
Good. Had a long work week. We just
Quick.
got a lot of work in. There was a story about Anthony Smith. His nickname is Anthony Lionheart Smith. He's an ultimate fighter. I don't know if you gentlemen know what it takes to get a nickname like Lionheart in the sport of mixed martial arts, but you take some abuse and you give some abuse. Anthony Smith joined the UFC at 19. He's legit. He's probably is he in the top 10, Jace?
Yeah.
Light heavyweight. Just fought John Jones for the championship. Lost to John Jones, but that's not saying much because John Jones is scary.
He's a scary dude. A freak of nature.
But somebody broke into his house, dude.
Somebody broke into his house?
So here's the story I heard, and Jace can correct me if I'm wrong, but this guy breaks into his house. He said he walks down the hall, he sees the guy, and his first thought after he realized that the guy was an intruder, his first thought is, oh, that's awesome. His first thought is,
Our old man started playing $400 in the background. And they're like, they're the only ones that listen. They're like, I can't stand all that background noise.
His first thought is,
The second I got up there, they turned it off.
they heard you coming, dude. They were scared.
Yeah. Fear.
His first thought is, nobody breaks into a house without a weapon. So I'm just going to rush this guy and, buy my wife some time to get the cops on the way before the guy kills me with whatever weapon he has. So he rushes the guy and starts fighting him, And apparently, come to find out the guy was on drugs and stuff, but Anthony Smith, top 10 light heavyweight in the world, UFC, is giving this guy everything he's got. And the guy's like, just taking it, dude. He's like, I've been in way less hard fights in like professional fighting. 3?
He's number 3.
He's number 3, so.
Dang.
He's ranked number 3. And so, he's just clobbering this guy. He said he's bombing him with everything. Takes him down, ground and pounding him, and the guy's just taking it. I guess the guy gets up, it ends up on the feet a little bit, and he says to his wife, he's like, give me a knife. Because he's realizing he might lose his fight. So his wife gets him a knife, and he's fighting with his knife, and he's like, I couldn't fight with it. Like, I fight with my fists. He didn't want to hurt him, apparently. Which is a weird state of mind to be in. But I guess if you're that used to violence, that's just how you think.
Yeah, he's a professional fighter. He doesn't want to hurt the people he's fighting.
Yeah, that could be it. But then he...
Maybe.
he drops the knife and starts fighting, and his wife comes and grabs the guy's legs. And he looks at the guy, he's like, don't you dare kick my wife! And the guy, looked at him he said, he looked at me, and I realized, like, we had an agreement. He was not going to kick my wife. And that's how they ended up restraining him. The wife grabbed the legs, and he grabbed the body. But
Why would I kick your wife, man?
yeah, it was so weird. It was just another reminder for me, like, probably should have a gun if guys like Anthony Smith can't even defend their own houses with their fists. I might want to have something that packs a little heat for sure.
Indeed.
Terrifying to think that men like that break into houses.
Just turn your cane up. Oh, I tried to be so subtle. I just texted Golden. I was like, hey, scoot closer to the mic or turn your gain up because I'm looking at the sound and I don't think we can hear him. And he goes, start squeaking his stupid chair.
You jerk.
It's a lounger, man.
I'm with you.
So, anything else to report from your week?
Nope. Buy a gun. Defend your home.
Okay.
Buy that 6 gauge.
I'll go next so that, because Shadow has
How was your
a
week, Golden?
great story.
I'll lead in.
It was good. Really good week. I got to hang out with my wife all week. She came up. Her work sent her home because there's some cases of coronavirus in the town she lives in.
Where-
Oh, I didn't hear that.
What state is she in?
Arizona.
Arizona. Why do I know the state of Arizona? What's it known for? There's something that it's well known. Oh, most skinwalker deaths.
My wife is not fond of the thought of skinwalkers. She's never met one, so she doesn't know that she's scared of them.
To be fair, most everybody is fond of the thought of it in a house. But as soon as you get in the woods, you're like, don't say a
Kind of a
word.
desert
They
on
can
the
hear.
reservation. You're like, "Urgh."
If you say their name 3 times, they'll show up.
And a little side note for those listeners that care. This will be my last podcast for a while. I'm moving to Arizona for 4 or 5 months.
Can you
The
go?
summer and
Are you
foresee
working on
in
the
the
same
future?
project down there when you go?
Negative. I'm working on a train.
Like a railroad or like a
Yeah, a metro railroad.
all right, like a tracks action.
Yeah, like a tracks.
That'll be cool. That'll be
Yeah,
a cool
I'm
project.
excited.
to be
I'm,
involved in.
I'm with Jay Larson on it, and Jay just called the other day, and we chatted a bit.
That'll be super cool. Yeah, that's a sweet game.
I'm excited.
How long is that project going to be?
For
For you,
me,
it'll be 4 or 5 months, but
Yeah.
how long overall do you know?
I honestly don't know. I know they've been working on it for a year,
Oh, wow.
and they're currently at the concrete structural steel phase. So, at least another year, possibly another year after that.
Interesting.
So,
That'll be
we'll
super
call
cool
it 3
project.
years.
That'll be a super cool
So
project.
it's in Phoenix then, I assume.
Yeah. Yeah, downtown Phoenix.
We call it Phoenix.
And where are you staying in Phoenix?
I don't know. I don't know where I'm staying yet.
I thought you're not staying with her.
I will stay with her until my project starts in May. On the 18th of May is when I start. So I'll be in Phoenix on the 18th. She lives about 3 hours from Phoenix.
That's quite the commute. Huh?
So yeah, so I'm not gonna live with her, but I'll see her every weekend.
What kind of hours
Or
work
near
do you?
enough.
What kind of hours do you work when you do that? Do you work 40 or?
I think once I get hired full time, I'll be working closer to like 60 would be my guess. But as an intern, they limit us to 45 because they don't get to abuse us yet. They still want us to come work for them.
Sure.
Gotcha.
Go.
But one of the things I really like about Hensel Phelps is they're all about work-life balance. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if I ever were to have kids and they had something at school, their policy, almost their official policy is go do your family stuff.
Sweet.
So,
Interesting.
Nice.
Super interesting. Well, good on you. Good work.
yeah.
Hensel
And
Phelps is the construction company he's going to intern for.
yeah. Sorry, guys.
This
And they gave me a $3 raise from last year.
Nice,
From
dude.
$15 an hour to $18 an hour.
Wow.
Dope.
It's a huge bump.
Yeah. I just can't wait for my Trump money to come in.
I know, right?
Trump money.
The best is that the leftists are still like, he's the worst. That's like the best socialist program that's ever happened in this
So
country.
socialist. That's basically communism, and you guys still hate him? Come on.
It's true.
So that everybody knows, that's what we're calling the money you get for coronavirus.
You know what it is?
I would assume everybody can figure it out.
It's racism. Or Cheetoism. They hate him for the color of his orange skin.
It's true.
I actually hate him for that too. I don't mind his policies, but oh man, bro, you don't need to break down. You're 75 years old. So,
All right.
We'll see. If it becomes a thing, it'll be a problem. But he thinks he's helping with the emergency, which is what it is. And it's not only him. I mean, the Senate had to write the bill, So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with it.
All right.
Shadow's got a topic for us, so huh?
Oh yeah, I got
How's
kind
your
of a hot take this week. Something that I noticed. I got a question for you boys.
Yes.
When, what kind of person? I was in the bathroom this week at work, which is not a great start to any story, but we'll pick up. I promise it'll get better.
Strongly disagree. Great start to every story.
I was in a porta potty and I noticed that people were writing on the walls. And my question is, what kind of adult is writing on the walls of a porta potty? I don't understand. And even in middle school, what kind of middle schooler feels the need to write on the walls? It's ridiculous.
I have written on
Of course you have.
What did you write?
I was in Cheyenne.
Which is in Wyoming.
I was being
Yeah,
a
Noah.
crane-
Learn your geography. Sorry, no, that was rude.
I was being a crane operator, and I was on a job with Cache Valley Electric, which is a Utah-based electrical company that goes all over the country, and they are union. I went into the break room and was very unwelcome.
Because you're not union.
I could tell. And I started looking at, there was a bunch of papers laying, in each seat on the tables. So I picked it up, and it was union rhetoric. Talking about how electricians need a union to unite because they're it's the hardest work on the job, both physically and mentally.
Oh, so hard physically.
Which
Oh my gosh.
Maybe mentally, but I think a plumber would argue against that, or possibly a manager. But
Well, and what's so hard mentally about electricians?
Well, if you touch the wrong thing, you'll die.
electrocuted. I don't know. I'm not an electrician, but I do know this: it's not the hardest. That's stupid.
That's BS.
You've never worked concrete
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, exactly. It was
or
like
steel.
Yeah, it was like a whole page of that, dude, and it was super irritating.
Yeah.
Well, the Electricians Brotherhood is called IBEW. IBEW. Anyone care to venture a guess of what that stands for? Do you know, Jace?
International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers.
International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers.
Dude, first guess.
Part of
You're a
this
good
paper was
guesser.
talking about the protection of electrical workers' jobs. Who knows? All right, this is turning into a long thing. The unions are lauded for what? Giving us the weekend, right? The 40-hour work week.
And Labor
It's
Day.
all Labor Day, right?
Yeah, Labor Day. Thank goodness for that.
Well, they also cost France the monarchy, which was a good thing, but it turned into communism and
too much about
that little choppy thing, the
The
guillotine.
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 They also strongly helped with the Chinese or the
Bolshevik Revolution?
the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. Where there's a communist revolution, unions are not far behind.
Or in front.
Yeah. However,
One of the two.
their claim to fame in this country is, well, we protect American jobs. We protect American jobs. We stop factories from manufacturing outside of the United States. We keep jobs
what?
in this country.
No.
Not even a little.
We make companies compete, be competitive with us. The reason all the money stays in this country is because of us. The reason that all these high-paying jobs are here is because of unions. So they represent the American worker, correct?
According to them.
Yeah. How does an international brotherhood protect the workers in one country? So I wrote that on the porta potty wall.
Oh, just that question. How does the International
Yeah.
Brotherhood protect the workers in one country?
Go back. I was drinking a lot of water back then, so I went back like 20 minutes later. Erased. Or scribbled out.
No way.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
So I write, scribble out my rhetoric doesn't make it untrue. Go back 20 minutes later, scribble out.
Crazy.
So, there's a union guy out there with a really small bladder like mine, and he does not like my anti-union.
Dude, if
He
I know
probably
union
watched you
guys-
go into the bathroom. Nobody else even saw. He was like, "Oh, that guy's riding in my porta potty.
Probably.
Look at his face."
They did know that the crane company wasn't union, so it could be that he just knew that I was the one doing it.
If I know union guys, it was more than one union guy.
Yeah,
Two different ones.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. They're
This rhetoric isn't true.
Yeah, they're brutally union. But the thing is like you get like a lot of stories about the union put sugar in fuel tanks and stuff. But guess what? The same thing. They get the same thing on their end. The non-union guys do it to the union guys. Here's the problem. Non-union guys, zero organization.
And they don't care.
Union guys, organization up the wazoo. So
The second largest mob
Yeah.
after the police.
Yeah. The mafia, well, there's a reason that they're always tied to organized crime and communism. I mean,
Yeah.
If you watch that, The Irishman
I love
on
that
Netflix, Jimmy Hoffa is featured in it, and it talks all about his
And he
crime syndicate that he was running.
dude, and I think maybe they had their place, you know. There were there were little kids working 80 hours a week and stuff, and the unions helped a lot to stop that, but what are they doing now? Other than putting companies out of business because they can't compete, at least in this state, you know. So,
Yeah.
So is there more to your bathroom writing
That
story,
being said,
Shadow?
I do have some thoughts on the
you've read
writing
the
in the
law,
bathroom.
though, right?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, because he talks a lot about
I need to reread
the
it.
monopoly of labor through labor unions. Anyways, sorry.
If you haven't read The Law by Frederic Bastiat, read it. It's amazing. It's a good book. An important piece of literature. You should read it. You can get a free copy for $1.
Shit,
Oh, that makes sense.
They're like it's like a just pay
you
shipping
gotta
kind of
pay
thing.
off the
Yeah.
unions to get it to your house.
Got to. That makes sense.
Oh yeah, writing on the bathroom wall. The best thing I've ever seen written on a bathroom wall, and it was on the internet, of course.
Snitch.
Somebody wrote, "Scotty, don't beat me up. I'm taking a and then the line straight up, and that's funny. I can handle that. That is very creative for all you Trekkies out there. And that's funny. That's a good bit. But just like random words and swear words, not hip to it.
It is weird. It's a weird thing for an adult to do, but then again, that's the kind of people you work with when you work construction. So.
I suppose it is.
You know what I just thought of? There's a mafia within a mafia. Mafiaception. Because police officers have a police union. Holy cow.
Actually, here you want to get real shady with it. A lot of the cops in Utah are part of the Teamsters union.
Really? Weird.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So, I wonder how many mixer drivers get tickets from those cops.
What's a cement mixer? Are they not union?
They're Teamsters.
Oh, okay.
They are
I
union.
see.
They're in the same union as the
They're
cops.
in the Teamsters union.
So I wonder who gets favoritism there. Who's paying where your union dues go, officer? What?
Interesting.
But at the same time, if they are writing them a ticket, wouldn't it go to the company?
It depends on the ticket. There's a lot of tickets that professional drivers get that they have to pay on their own. Cell phone tickets. It's like a cell phone ticket's like $10,000 to a $10,000 fine to the driver, and if they can prove that the company paid it for you, they double it and hit you again.
Oh,
And then I think it's like $30,000 to the company in the same. I'm not sure if any cops actually write it because it's such.
They're in the same union.
It's
I
ridiculous.
wonder if it's a way that the union could, to put it in the politically correct terminology, put pressure on companies to keep drivers around and keep unionized drivers hired on.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the cops are in the Teamsters union. The head of the Teamsters union can be like, look, if you'll keep these unionized drivers in there, we won't write you tickets. for anything
Interesting.
ever.
For sure.
Why?
For sure. And here's your
That's a really powerful tool for putting for putting pressure on.
hey, this
Blackmailing.
Maybe you should start writing them tickets. They don't pay their union dues.
Who doesn't?
That's just what they consider.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Why are they in the Teamsters Union?
I'm not
Is there
sure
some
why
reason?
it works like that.
Huh.
My Uncle Bob just told me because he's in the Teamsters Union.
So he's got a bunch of cop buddies that are his union brothers.
It seems like Teamsters specifically related to people who drive for work. 'Cause
Okay,
it started
sure,
out
I
as
could get
people
behind
who were
that.
Moving cattle and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, I always thought it was like trucking specifically or hauling of some
well.
kind, but yeah.
They do use tasers, so maybe they should get into IBIA.
I'm about to redo your wiring.
Plus, you have to. It's the most taxing mentally and physically being a cop.
You know, it is.
Dude, sitting in your car all day writing speeding tickets.
Oof, it's hard. That's why so many cops are underweight.
All right, getting crap talky. Just kidding. It doesn't matter.
Kind of been
That's
crap
all we
talking
do.
the whole time.
Yeah, we started in a bathroom, remember?
Speaking of organized crime, let's talk today, bro.
We're talking about the Danites.
Danites.
Speaking of organized crime.
Speaking of organized crime.
So I was gonna start this with in that book I gave you. It's a book that spells out the
Relationship with Abraham Lincoln and Joseph Smith.
Joseph Smith and Abraham Lincoln, because they were contemporaries, sort of. Well, they were contemporaries, but when Lincoln was president, it was more Brigham Young. But there's in this book I read there's actually a Danite Rallying Cry, which I think we should put in our intro or something because it's super cool. But it's like, hear ye, Danites, there is work for thee to do. Then they'd run in and beat up mobs that were attacking their women.
Sure.
That's what I choose to believe they did. They only defended.
They only defended and they were only correct, always.
Never got into secret combinations or anything like that.
So I guess that's a good segue for a preface. That's why we named it after the Danites. They were originally founded as a defense against people who were abusing church members in the early days of the church.
Which was rampant. There was
tarring and feathering.
The church catches a lot of grief for like the Mountain Meadows massacre. However, those people got punished both criminally and by the church. The church kicked the leaders out of that, but people
excommunicated the leaders.
Yeah, but in the history of the church, people did just as bad as stuff to members of the church and never got punished. Some even got like money for every Mormon that they killed.
Yeah, until like the 1950s, there was a kill order in Missouri.
Yeah, like $7 a month.
That was rescinded in 2007.
Yeah.
I thought I didn't want to say wrong information.
I'm not.
Back to the
It was the early 2000s. I think it
Yeah.
was 2007. Jace is going to double check for us,
Which
so
doesn't-
we'll come back around to that.
Which does
Our
not make
producer's
the Mountain
looking into
Meadows massacre okay, but it does.
It makes it more
It
understandable.
paints a light over the thinking of the saints when it happened.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's less of a territorial people saying get out of my house and more of a beaten dog biting back.
Yeah.
Beaten and kicked.
That being said, we'll that's why we chose the name Danite Radio. And it is our goal to defend the church.
So this says that the governor of Missouri rescinded it in 1976.
Oh, we were both wrong.
Come on, Shadow.
I thought the 2000s felt too late.
I heard somebody say that. Like they were like, "Oh, that got rescinded like last year when I was a little kid."
That's in Missouri?
Yes.
What about the one in Illinois? When did it get rescinded?
I'll look that up.
You don't have to look.
I think Missouri was the longest standing
The
one.
thing about that's the other thing. Like this book talks about why the Saints got kicked out of Nauvoo, and a lot of it was like Nauvoo, Illinois was the fastest. Like, but when the Mormons got kicked out, it was bigger than Chicago in population.
Yeah.
So the Mormons had the biggest voting bloc, in the U.S. and they
In the U.S. or just in the state?
in the state, but I think it was in the U.S. Like it was huge. And then Illinois was still a slave state when Nauvoo was founded, and the church was not only accepting black members at the time, but they were bestowing the priesthood and leadership position to black people, and that was a big red flag for white people.
Yeah, and if
Or
you
in Illinois.
yeah in Illinois, because I think they were a slave state, if I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he just said.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't hear that. Sorry.
And so a lot of violence
Okay.
was going on toward the church.
The 2000s date you guys got was the governor received an award in 2010 for rescinding it in 76.
Oh, okay. The governor who rescinded it received an award for rescinding it.
He got an award for that?
From Utah.
Oh.
We would. Stupid
But
state.
like 40 years later.
The Mormon History Association specifically gave him the award.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like a state award.
No.
Okay. I'm slightly more on board with that.
Why? Hey man, thanks for telling people they shouldn't keep killing people. Like,
Thanks for doing the bare minimum.
I don't even know if it was that. It's just like common sense.
That's
I'm
what.
like,
Hey, this is a weird, outdated law.
I actually got an award from the city because I was paying all the neighbor kids to kill the neighbor's cats. You know, like $10 for a set
Then
of
you
cat
stopped
ears.
doing it.
Yeah, then I stopped doing it. And they gave me an award for it.
Didn't even have to pay Corey's kid. He did it for free.
No, it's more like you did that your whole life, and then you die, and one of your grandsons is like, "Oh yeah, that was kind of weird. He shouldn't have done that."
Right.
We're not
And then
giving
they
you
gave
guys
him more. They gave your grandson an award.
Stupid award. Anyways, sorry, we're way off track. What did
The
you learn
Danites.
about the Danites? Me ran Shadow.
So, originally founded as a
While he's looking at his phone, I read that all of the organized groups in the church, like all of the organized law enforcement groups, fall under the umbrella of Danites, including the Whistle and Whittling gang.
interesting.
Yeah, kind of a cool little factoid.
What's the Whistle and Whittling game?
I believe it was in Nauvoo. What they would do is they were nonviolent, and anytime a shady character came into town, they would just follow him around whistling and whittling, and those guys would get out of town.
Yeah, in my limited research, there was a couple forums I stumbled on where like guys were like, "Yeah, I got asked to join the Danites in the 1980s." You know, a guy's full of crap when he starts a story with "in the 80s." For some reason, all stories from the 80s from those people are false.
BS.
But he's like, "Yeah, in the 80s, my brother and two elders who didn't speak a word came to me and offered me a position in the Danites to follow around and report on people who are speaking against the church. What kind of cult does this?" And then some member gets on and they're like, "Dude, what kind of special skills did you have? You got offered such a high position." Just trolling the crap out of
That
it.
is funny.
That's awesome.
Anyways, continue.
So, founded originally by Samson Avard, Jared Carter, and George W. Robinson. And I believe most of them were actually later excommunicated when the church was like, "Oh, you took that way too far." But it was originally, these three guys were just concerned about people.
Abusing members?
No, they were, sorry, I just had a weird, like, deja vu moment, I guess. They were concerned about people who were dissenting from the church and then coming around and harassing members again.
Yeah.
Because,
That
like
happened.
we've talked about
It
before,
still happens.
like, yeah, people can't leave it alone. When they're like, "I wish the church was out of my life and I wasn't a part of it," but they can't leave it alone. They keep coming back around and they just can't stay away from it. That's a pretty clear sign that there's something going on. And so the Danites were originally formed to protect against those people, and they kind of lost their way along the way. I had deja vu because there's three of us.
I'm
There's three people that founded the Danites.
that's not not our goal in naming the podcast after the Danites. You know,
It is not.
excommunication is not our goal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
just in case President
And neither is violence.
just in case we didn't drive President Nelson off when we were making fun of his sense of humor
Last week.
Last week.
Also, I'm surprised we didn't hear anything about that. None of our 20 listeners even mentioned it. So, good for us. But I think the most famous Danite is Porter Rockwell.
Was he
never
officially a
excommunicated.
Danite?
Yeah.
That's because
He had ties to the Danite
the
group.
Samson of our day never did anything worthy of execution. Excommunication is what I meant to say.
That we know of.
Like,
me and Rocky had this talk this week at work, and it was just like we were like, why is it okay for him? Like, if you look,
he never killed a man that didn't deserve killing.
yeah, by whose standard?
Yeah, I think Charles Manson would argue the same thing.
Maybe. My favorite Porter Rockwell story is the story where he shoots guys off their horses by hitting their belt buckles. You heard that story?
No.
Yeah. That's like the whole.
Is that the whole story?
Yeah. There was a group of horsemen chasing him. He jumped off his horse and he shot at least the leader off by hitting him in the belt buckle. He didn't kill him. Hit him in the belt buckle. He shot him off his horse, and the mob turned and ran. It could be a myth. I don't care.
Like through the horse's head into the
Yeah.
belt buckle?
Yeah.
Because that just
Nah,
seems like
dude.
to be behind the horse's head.
It could be from the side. Jeez Louise. Have some imagination.
I
Do
think
you think the only way to shoot someone is straight on?
I think the idea is that he didn't kill him when he did that. Is that?
No,
Yeah.
I think the only way to shoot someone when they're riding a horse is to just aim for center mass and pray that you
And hope you actually hit him
Yeah,
He was a crack shot with a shotgun.
sure.
with a shotgun.
It says that on his Wikipedia page.
So like from 300 miles away, or from 300 yards away, shot him off with the horse with his shotgun.
Yeah,
With the belt
he
buckle.
slapped a slug in there.
He probably did. He probably shot a slug out of there.
Nah, dude, I think he hit him with one BB. He knew. He knew his spread so good. He was like, ding.
With a freaking break action 1850s era shotgun.
Dude, I'm telling you. I choose to believe it despite your derision.
All right.
Since we're on the Porter Rockwell tangent, I think it's important we read the first paragraph of his Wikipedia page. Just because,
Did you switch over to his Wikipedia page from Danites?
yeah, it was super easy.
Dope.
There was a link to it.
Of course there was.
If I was to be on Wikipedia, I would want it to read something like this. That's why I say that. Orrin Porter Rockwell, then the dates of his birth and death, was a figure of the Wild West period of American history. A lawman in the Utah Territory, he was nicknamed Old Port and the Destroying Angel of Mormondom. He was as famous and controversial during his lifetime as Wyatt Earp and Pat Garrett.
So,
But just, I'm jealous of that. The Destroying Angel of Mormondom. That's pretty
for
cool.
sure. It's easy for Mormons to love him. It's easy for anti-Mormons to hate him. But like Wyatt Earp, it was the Wild West, you know.
Indeed.
There's a lot of stuff, you know. I mean, a lot of people blame the white man for driving the Indians out and killing them all, and a lot of people blame the Indians for, you know, standing up and fighting, you know, and doing the same thing, pillaging, you know, they pillaged each other. It was a dangerous, scary place to live. It's easy to sit back in our air-conditioned houses with food in the fridge, the refrigerator, that they had no idea even what that was or could even imagine it, you know, and judge men like Porter Rockwell. My only thing is, I want to fight him.
Fist fight
I
him?
want to see how tough he really was.
So he whips out a billy club and just kicks the snot out of you
Probably
with
beat
it.
me up. He probably beat me to death, but I just like,
Nah, he wouldn't kill you.
For
You
some
don't deserve killing.
I always, you don't know that. I always want to put like
You don't think that, but Porter might.
people with reputations to the test, you know, I get fascinated all of a sudden, like, could I take it. No, I probably could. I'm super conceited, you know, so I probably could.
Well, I don't know. I never killed anybody that didn't need killing. Is about as conceited as it gets.
Sure.
What do you mean? Judge, jury, executioner. It was his calling.
Yeah.
But and he was a lawman. That was how it goes. When you're the sheriff in the Wild West, you're judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah.
So.
Anyways, what else about the Danites?
We digressed, yeah.
If you look at their Wikipedia page, like if you type in the Danites, it doesn't even go to the tribe of Dan. It just goes straight to the Mormon Danites. Sorry.
The fraternal organization.
Yeah, and it says they were organized under the direction of Joseph Smith in the beginning, but then as they progressed further into potential secret combinations and such things, Joseph Smith denounced them and they excommunicated the leaders, probably the three that Shadow mentioned, whose names I can't remember.
Sure.
We don't want to glorify them too much. You can do your own research.
That is the problem. I mean, most, like even the mafia was just organized to protect Italian immigrants, you know? I mean, most of these organizations.
And unions were organized to protect workers.
Exactly.
You know, communism is a really great system if it could have non-corrupt leaders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of these criminal elements always start like that, you know?
And that's where our goal is.
There's some money
I could
made.
kill this dude and
Yeah, for sure.
no consequences. Let's start doing that.
So, yeah. But anyways, let's get back to the tribe of Dan. Why are they named after the tribe of Dan?
I could not figure that out. The biggest distinction with the tribe of Dan is that they're seafaring.
Really?
So,
I've always heard that they were the most warlike tribe, but I have no evidence of that.
From what I could tell, again, just light Wikipedia research, nothing major. The tribe of Dan was like right on the sea, and they were known because they were the most seafaring of the tribes. At least in the later years, or possibly the earlier years, depending on how you look at things.
So, I got something for you. According to Albert P. Rockwood, a loyal Mormon, in 1838, the companies are called Danites because the prophet Daniel has said that the saints shall take the kingdom and possess it forever. So it's in reference to the prophet Daniel.
Oh, not the tribe of Dan.
Yeah.
I see. Oh, Daniel was the one that
Makes a lot more sense.
stabbed that guy, right? Because Solomon was supposed to kill everyone in the town, and he kept the king. He was going to publicly execute him. And the prophet said, and Daniel said, when God says to kill everybody, you kill everybody, and stabs the king in this cage.
I have never heard that story.
Pretty sure.
I don't think it was Daniel, though, because Daniel was after the takeover of Jerusalem by the Babylonians and was taken into Babylon by King Nebuchadnezzar.
I think there's more than one Daniel.
Nathan?
Was it Samuel?
Samuel. I'm open to Samuel.
Yeah, I think
He was a contemporary with Solomon.
Was Solomon?
Yeah.
I
Samuels.
didn't think that there was a contemporary to Solomon. I thought Solomon was the prophet king. A prophet king, I should say. No? I'm incorrect? Okay.
I don't know. I'm just teasing. I don't know. It's dope how we just display our ignorance about our own religion.
Well,
we're here to defend it.
To be fair, what bearing does who killed who in Solomon's time have on our eternal progression?
And I think it was Saul was the one that didn't kill everybody.
Yeah, that sounds right. Saul and David.
Saul held back the
king?
No, the lambs and the oxen for a sacrifice. But he just didn't want to waste it in
and
Nathaniel.
There was a king too.
Maybe. I've never heard that.
Maybe it was Nathaniel.
And the problem with the Bible is there's so many stories like this that we could all be talking about 3 different stories.
For sure.
Have you ever read the whole Bible?
Nope.
Yes.
You have? On your mission?
No, actually.
Really?
I read it before my mission.
I've only made it through the Old Testament.
You read the Old Testament, not the
That's
New?
the hard part.
I start
Obviously.
I start on the Old and try and get through it.
Have you made it through the whole Old Testament?
Most of it. Yeah. And then the Gospels. I've read the Gospels, and Revelation. So here's the thing. A lot of the Constitution is based on like Leviticus 1, not most of it, but parts of it, you know. So like I read Leviticus and stuff like that, which like if you get past chapter 1 in Leviticus, you're like, this is what you base this country on. Like
Shit just got weird.
lots of genocides and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. The Bible's rough. There's a lot of crazy stuff in the Bible.
and that's the other thing, like I always get blindsided by critics with these weird stories, so I always trying to find them, and sometimes they're not even in the Bible. They're in like different books that are contemporaries of the Bible or whatever. Like the one where, except I think this one is in the Bible where the guy commands the bears to eat the kids for making food.
Yeah.
'Cause he's
Dude, that's one of my favorite Bible
That's
stories.
Elisha.
Yeah, it is.
Elisha.
The precursor to Elijah.
No, what's precursor mean?
The one right before.
It's the one right after.
Is it?
Okay.
Yeah. Elisha replaced Elijah. I thought it was the one
Whose
before, but
spirit is the spirit of turning the fathers to the son?
Elijah.
Elijah.
And Elisha. Same name, but with an SH instead of a J.
Yeah.
So
The kids are like, go up, that bald one.
Well, I'm just like, so I always get blindsided by the stories. I was like, it really says that? And then like I read it and I'm like, it doesn't bug me as bad when I read it in the Bible, you know? I don't know. It still doesn't make any sense to me.
That's out of context. That him commanding the bears isn't as bad as you made it sound.
But then it's just so outlandish that I'm like, he commanded bears? Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Come on, Day.
I don't know. So,
Clearly, this is.
yeah,
He commanded two huge burly dudes, and they came and screamed at the kids.
maybe.
it's
It's a little
specific
better.
she bears.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah, that's
specific
true.
in the
Two
text.
huge burly ladies. And it was their mom, and they were like, "Get back in the house!" Tore him a new one.
That would be funny, huh?
It's just slang. It's all like slang we don't really understand.
And that's part of the problem. Like, how much of it is just
Elijah was like,
similes that we don't get.
Elijah's like, dude, look, I was just in the tavern. All right, I was telling this guy about these kids were made fun of me because I was bald. Turns out their moms were right behind me, and they were she-bears, bro. Like, these were monsters. I feel bad for sipping them on the kids, but
Harry, it was terrifying.
it is what
all,
it is.
all I did was turn around and tell him it hurt my feelings. That's it. And then these ladies, you don't talk to him that way.
Belts came off. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, it was. Guys, poor guys.
And the guy's like, can I write that down? That's a crazy story. He's like, sure. Just put she-bears in there. No context.
Here's my question. Why can't we stay on this topic? What's the deal with the Danites? Keep going. I'm sorry.
I wonder if it's a stupor of thought.
Yeah, I'm nervous. I was nervous. The same thing.
Perhaps, yeah. And perhaps we just have other stuff we'd like to talk about. I don't know. I don't know. I can head back over to it. I'm open to that.
I do find it funny that that I can't remember who said it. Someone said, we don't want to glorify the Danites, but the podcast is named
said
after
that?
the Danites. One of you two, just barely. I think it was Rocky.
Might have been me too. I'm open-minded to
I
that.
don't think I said I didn't want to. I was just I was talking about
Oh,
Porter
the
Rockwood.
founders,
I think I was talking about Porter Rockwood.
maybe.
Wasn't I?
It sounded to me, the way I heard it is, you said, we don't want to glorify the Danites too much.
Well, and my question is, how much more is there before we're getting into conspiracy and conjecture? Because we've pretty much covered it all. There's some interesting facts we could talk about, and maybe we can talk about it. Like, they had a rallying cry, and we've talked about that a little bit, but then they had a manifesto and that kind of thing. And there's a lot of research you can do on it, but at some point, we've covered everything that kind of pertains to what we're talking about, and after this, there's conspiracy and conjecture that we can discuss, I think.
Yeah.
That because there's rumors that they still are around. The Danites that there's still secret organizations
within the church.
Yeah, or I've heard it both ways. I've heard that they're a secret organization of members of the church that it's a secret combination. It's wicked and they commit acts of violence against people. And I've also heard that it's just like a sorority or a fraternity of members of the church that, I don't know, meet together and drink coffee or whatever. It's just an organization, you know.
Yeah.
So. What?
Drinking coffee is kind of against the Danite Manifesto.
I know. It was a joke.
Yeah, I got it. I was just reading Rocky's mind. What do you got for us?
You're thinking hard about something.
The wheels are turning. Oof. Is that smoke coming out of his ears?
No, I just am like, are we treading on some dangerous water? Are we hitting a conspiracy? People don't want us drawing attention to this?
That'd be dope. Like, we wake up to a note under our pillow that's like, don't talk about us ever again. Dash D.
I haven't seen
D dash heights.
I like that, though. Have you?
What?
A Danite organization.
No. No.
There's lots of protesters at church events, you know, and the closest thing I've seen to a Danite is me telling a protester to shove a Bible up his butt, you know? I don't...
There's not counter protesters. It's not like what are those guys called? A Proud Boy and fighting an Antifa guy. Proud Boys are the right wing anti-Antifa guys.
Oh.
Because Antifa goes in and beats up protesters. There's no evidence of that in the church. And if the Danites were still around, it seems like there'd be some.
Would be
yeah.
At least if I controlled the Danites, that's what we have.
But if the Danites are a secret, wouldn't they just wait till those protesters go home and gank them there?
I don't know. I'd make a big show of it if I was a Danite. But
That's why you're not invited. You're bad at secrets.
It's true.
Trust me. They like people to keep things quiet.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm with you. I've never seen any.
I would think, and maybe people would think, people probably think we are Danites. We're throwing people off the trail now. You know, we're like, oh, I've never seen anything like that.
Never heard of that.
Meanwhile, we're giving
But the name of our radio channel is Danite Radio.
we're giving each other the Danite signs. Do you find anything interesting over there, Jace, or are you just doing homework?
Nothing good.
Lame, dude.
So
Why'd you even come, bro?
So it feels to me like the purpose of this particular podcast is to explain to people that the reason why we're called Danite Radio is because our mission statement is to defend the church.
Sure.
Not through physicality, obviously, because we didn't start a huge gang, but through words and deeds to an extent, because we are members trying our best and we have opinions on why people who are against the church are incorrect.
Yeah.
Is that the case, though? Because maybe our goal is to change the thoughts of people so that they're more apt to defend physically the things that they're doing. And I will tell you a story.
Okay.
Please do.
In the Gulag Archipelago, the author,
One of the most important books of the 19th or 20th century.
the author
We can't stress it enough.
discusses the abuses of the secret police. There was a family just lost a 2-year-old boy. They were having a funeral in the front room. Secret police come in. They arrest the dad and dump out the coffin just to search it. Dump the son of the dead body. He tells stories like that. And then he pontificates on how many houses would it have taken if the secret police kicked open the door to the barrel of a gun. How many houses would it have taken like that before they couldn't hire secret police to?
Before they're like the mortality rate is too high.
Before it's not worth it.
And what political revolution is worth that? Is worth, every house I go to, the barrel of a shotgun comes down in my face. And I have to politely ask questions.
It doesn't matter how good the SWAT team is. They kick down your door. You have the advantage.
You know your house?
They all have to come through a 3-foot space. Even with a pistol, you have a great advantage to the
Against the SWAT team?
Do you any disagreements there, Jace? Nope. So I'm wondering,
aside from them training for that,
Sure.
that's a big advantage for them.
And they have body armor, but
There was a guy in Salt Lake, though, selling weed. He killed like 5 cops all by himself because they kicked in the door, ran in, and died. You know, that's just, like, it's a hard position for cops to be in. And I'm not advocating that in any way.
right.
Unless they're coming from Mormons specifically for being Mormons.
Unless they're coming for Mormons and busting them up and sending them to Siberia.
Yeah, or Jews, or political dissidents, you know. And I don't want Trump to do it to leftists, and I don't want leftists to do it to guys like Trump.
Yep.
But
It's like that story, I think it was in conference, when they quoted someone from Germany and said, you know, when they came for the Jews, I didn't do anything because I wasn't Jewish.
Yeah.
And then when they came for the Catholics, I didn't do anything because I was Protestant. Then when they came for the Protestants, who
There
was
was
there
no
to
one
stand
left.
up for me?
Yeah.
yeah,
And in that, it's interesting because they mention the Jews, and then they mention the Bolsheviks, and then they mention the Gypsies, and they mention all these groups
That's right.
that were at odds with one another. The Bolsheviks also didn't like the Jews. These people
And nobody
weren't.
liked the Gypsies.
Yeah, the problem is that if we're allowing people even to come for people on the left or members of the Democratic Party, if we allow people to draw lines around people and box them off for whatever reason, we're just giving them more power
Yep.
to come for us later.
People that I have zero respect for have advocated internment camps for Chinese people because of coronavirus.
yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, I was like, nice. And the one guy was even like, just like World War II. I was like, so you think that was okay? He's like, yeah, why not? I was like, you are such a piece of trash.
Was he advocating for it in the just like World War II, we did that with Japanese Americans, or just like World War II, Hitler did that with
Japanese Americans.
with
He
Jews.
quoted the camp in Idaho.
Interesting.
That's because, like, he's never had friends that were Chinese, right?
Neither have I.
But, like, you get that, like, with, like, we gotta throw all the Mexicans out of the country, you know? And I'm all about building a fence, you know, making it
love
legit.
Mexicans,
But
man.
I know. Like,
So many Mexicans.
I learned my trade from Mexican fellas, you know, and
Yeah.
And they're good welders.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
scary.
We all know how to weld. They're good
I
welders. They
don't-
know what
What's
they're doing.
What's the one guy's name? Juan Carlos? Best welder Dad's ever seen?
Raul is the best.
Yeah, Raul.
But what, you know, I don't want them thrown out of the country, you know. Like, I just don't understand how you can have friends.
I greatly prefer for them to
and
come
I'm-
here legally,
Dude,
but
the coolest guy on the planet was this guy from Hong Kong. We called him Chino because that's Spanish for Chinese, but I don't remember what it. Oh, Hong Song or something. Dude, he was so cool, dude. And like, it could just be because he didn't speak English, so we couldn't really talk that much. But I towards the end of my job at this place, he's the only person I eat lunch with. You know, he was just super nice.
Where was that at?
Mountain States still.
Oh, okay.
the pipe welding plant.
No, that was the bridge welding plant.
Okay.
That's still there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Shell or
a
something now.
Shuff. But you know, I just don't see how you can have a friend like that and just expect,
Yeah.
you know, want him put. Dude, I would flip if they put him in a freaking camp, you know.
Yeah.
And so you gotta assume that they're all people, you know, they're all lovable. Like, why?
Well, all of them. Not all people are lovable.
Right.
Well,
But that's, you know,
We don't
that's
even
the
love
line.
all the members of our own
That's,
family.
That's the spectrum of the human experience,
condition,
You know? It's
yeah.
like, okay, well, you can't just throw the people you disagree with in a camp. You don't want to shut them up. And I think that leads to another thought of, if you are a Danite, in our case, and you're speaking out verbally, hopefully it won't come to having
Yeah.
to shoot secret police as they kick in your door. You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
In
And
my opinion, it's not just about defending Mormons, it's about defending everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think in the Gulag Archipelago, he actually talks about that. Like, well, why would we do it then if we didn't do it before, when we saw it coming, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and a lot of them didn't see it coming, dude. Like, they were, the thing about Russia, like these crazy college students that you see are just like 100% believers in leftism. Like, it doesn't matter what happens, they know that they are right, and Dude, it was just like that back then. A lot of them got arrested and put in gulags later, and they never flipped. They're like, oh, this is just a mistake. We got to get some of them out. We got to weed out all the bad eggs. So they're bound to make a mistake once in a while.
Wow.
A lot of them were like that, dude.
Wow.
And like they just like would never ever flip, dude. They do 10 years in a gulag and
come out just as communist.
End up
as
being
before.
stool pigeons, tattling on other prisoners and stuff, and just never ever.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
I'm not a snitch. I was raised snitches get stitches.
Dude, and they were put in gulags as political prisoners. Because here's the thing, like, the thieves in gulags were well fed. They were used to punish the political prisoners. So if you were just a criminal, you had it way better in prison than the political prisoners. They'd feed you. You could steal anything you wanted. You could beat up anyone you wanted. A lot of the times you controlled the guards. And then the political prisoners, which the communists that went in were political prisoners, had it horrible. They'd shave your head. They'd starve you to death. They'd torture you,
Yeah.
Well, and I can't remember his name, but this is a quote from. It was like the theme of the. I think they call it the purges, the three great purges.
Yeah.
In communist Russia, and it's when they just mass arrests.
Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the author.
No, the leader of the purge, the communist
yeah.
leader of the great.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Sure.
Vladimir, maybe.
Ivan.
Well.
We've covered them all.
We've covered 50% of them, so we're off to a good guess.
Yeah.
But he said it's better to arrest 10 loyal party members in order to weed out one traitor than to let one traitor go free.
Sergei Kirov.
Maybe. That
Sure.
might be right.
Yeah, that's the thing. There is a lot of names in that book, because it's a compilation of stories from people in Gulag that he memorized, that Alexander Solzhenitsyn memorized, and he uses all their names or an initial, if they didn't want their name used. But
Yeah.
there are a lot of names, so you forget most of them. But
Because his goal is that these people be remembered.
You know what's funny? Oh, this is the opposite quote by William Blackstone. So I just typed in who said it's better to arrest 10 innocent than let one guilty go free. The opposite of that was penned by William Blackstone, and he said it's better that 10 guilty persons escape than one innocent suffer. Which is, kind of the basis of our system. Innocent until proven guilty and all
supposed
that.
to be the basis.
And they called it a great purge. It was a purge of the Communist Party. It was all party members.
Really?
Yeah.
They were hunting specifically for Communist Party traitors, members of the Communist Party who they believed to be spies, and they just started shoveling loyal members of the Communist Party into gulags.
Yeah, it's a bizarre thing. Well, where are we at, Shadow?
Time-wise?
Yeah.
Just under an hour, 58 minutes.
I'm ready when you guys are. But
Also, yeah. Basically, we got way off of the Danites and into anti-communism.
But that's our goal.
And it falls under,
To defend religious rights and the right to, mostly the right to freedom. I don't want to shut anyone down. And that's the thing. If you're out there, you're anti-Mormon, you're anti-God, please contact us if you want to come on and argue with us, And I guarantee you're smarter than I am,
Yeah.
And so, come on, argue with us.
You'll walk away feeling like you won.
Yeah, tell us why we're wrong. I want to get all opinions out there. So, and we'll try not to get corrupt like the Danites of old.
Good news, there's going to be a free microphone. So
Yeah.
Just keep.
Yeah.
We're gonna miss you, buddy.
appreciate you guys having me at all. It's been fun.
Good.
The few episodes I've done.
Glad you liked it.
Indeed. We had a blast.
For sure.
You gonna go ahead and end it anytime, or just
You got
play on
one?
your phone?
Yeah.
If you
No,
got
I'm
one-
ready. I was trying to find that guy's name. The guy who said that. But
It looks like it
it's
was
not.
under Stalin.
Yeah,
That's all I
it
can
was
find.
under Stalin. But it was his lieutenant who ended up getting
Put in gulag.
executed and put in a gulag and executed there.
Was he executed? I didn't think he was. Like he went in and it was weird. Like he was in Turkey for a while, then he came back, wrote this program for the Russians. It was weird.
I'm not sure. But the guy that I'm thinking of, I think, got executed, and I might be thinking of a different guy because and that's the thing. These stories that we're telling aren't unique in Russia. In the Soviet Union, they were rampant. They happened every day, and that's what we're defending against is the silencing of the masses.
Yeah. So go read the Gulag Archipelago, because if you're ever arguing with a communist on Instagram, one guy, it never fails, will always pop up and say, I lived in Russia in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and it wasn't that bad. I know it. I know it wasn't that bad. Where did you live in the 60s, 70s, and 80s? Like, well, I didn't live anywhere, but I read the Gulag Archipelago. Have you read that? Well, what's that? Oh, it's eyewitness accounts to the
Do you pull up his
Soviet Russia.
Do you pull up his profile and he's like an 18-year-old kid?
They're always using a dummy account. You know,
It's available
Pierre?
on Audible.
What's that?
The book's available on
Yeah,
Audible.
that's where I'm listening to it on Audible. It's a hard book to read. It's a hard book to listen to. So
It
Have you
is
listened to it?
super
No,
intense.
Set it up to where I will though.
yeah, it's dope. It's long, but it will change your life and views on things that are.
Yeah. And I think we're going to try the abridged version in our book club one of these days. But
Maybe we should all finish it. I'm only in the second book.
I'm still at the end of the first book.
But here's the thing. I'm in the middle of the second book. I'm like 50 hours into listening. So
Yeah.
Jeez, so they're
it's a
huge. They're freaking
dedication.
textbooks.
Yeah, it's
All told, I think the total thing is 2,100 pages or something.
yeah, it's
And it's
crazy.
Russian names.
So just under the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
It's a joke about how long the Count of Monte Cristo is. My favorite book, by the way.
Really? Have you read the full?
Yeah. It's rowdy.
That's a hard read too. That's a
pretty
thick read.
rough.
But it's only like 800, isn't
Yeah,
it?
you
It's a
could probably
1,000.
read the Gulag Archipelago though, because you love to read and you're a nerd. Not me. I listen to it because I am dumb and a nerd.
Well.
No disagreement there.
No, I'm a super nerd.
We're just gonna let that comment
You're
fall.
right. You are dumb, sir.
I don't think you're dumb, but you have a much better handle on your own intelligence than I do, so.
Thanks, buddy. All right, folks. Sorry that the information promised wasn't the information delivered, but we hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, we hope you had a good time. And thank you for listening to Danite Radio. Thanks and God bless. See you, Golden. Have a great summer.
Thanks, gents.